Okay, you guys, welcome, welcome. I've got Lori Stanfield with me. I'm so excited to talk to her. Y'all will love her. She's an amazing human with a beautiful, beautiful heart. And I'm super excited that she is one of the sweet VIPs in the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite because she just has such a generous heart and brings so much value and help to the ladies. So we're going to get to know her. And we're going to start off, Lori, with wanting to know your favorite joke.
My favorite joke. Okay, knock knock.
Who's there?
Jupiter.
Jupiter who?
Jupiter fly in my suit.
Yeah, that's funny. I haven't heard that one.
It was one my kids used to say when they were little. So it kind of
Oh,
goes with our home state, Alabama, I think.
oh, that's cute. That's cute. I like it. Okay, so you are in the film industry, which is how we met. So what do you do in the film industry?
I am an actress. Is
Cool.
the thing that I do most, I guess. I've done a little bit of other things here and there on set, but an actress.
Cool. And when did you start doing that?
Um, I really got serious about it October of 2022.
Mhm.
um, we prayed about it, and that's when I decided to be all in and really go for it.
Okay. And when you decided that, what was one of the first like action steps that you chose to really dig in? Actually, before we get there, what made you want to start acting?
Well, my daughter is in film, and so I had started following her to some of the film festivals, just as mom. And I think there's some other moms that have slipped into this industry that way too, through their kids. But I saw what she was doing and I got the bug that way and started praying about it and thinking about it. And more, the Lord just confirmed that's where I needed to be.
Oh, okay. I love that. Okay, I'm gonna pause the recording really quick. Okay, yeah, that is actually I've heard that from a few moms is that they got into it by their kids. That's cool. Okay, so then when you decided and you all prayed about it and you were like, I'm all in, what is one of the first action steps that you took?
So acting classes was one of the very first things. I got into acting class, an in-person one, and that was so helpful, especially because just to give you a little background and to encourage some people out there, I had a store for a few years, and I actually hired someone to do the videos for my store because I did not want to be on camera.
Yeah.
So I really had to get over that fear of being on camera again and just get over myself.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so how did you find that acting class and how did you know that this is one that I want to take and I'm going to jive with the instructor and all of that?
It was through a referral, and you have to. I have been burned, um, and so you do have to do your due diligence with acting classes. Um, but the Lord has used every class that I've been in. So I think referral is the best way.
Yeah.
Um, but even then, make sure to do your own due diligence.
Yeah. And was it a commercial class, a film class, theater? How many, was it like a 6 week or ongoing or?
It was a 12-week.
Okay.
Yeah. And we hit a bunch of topics. So, yeah.
Oh, very cool. Okay. And then what were the benefits of classes other than, because you said you got comfortable with the camera and you got to work on scenes. Were there any other benefits to taking the class?
Um, Really just being with the other people and seeing their struggle and seeing how they worked and how they did their scenes and learning from hearing the feedback in person of the other
Mhm.
people. That was so helpful to me.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree because I think every time I've been in classes and I hear their feedback, I'm like, oh, that's a good point. And then also you just build connections with other actors who have projects going on who can be like, oh, Lori, do you want to come do this thing? We're short. Like our actor had to hop out. And so you get these added benefits of attending classes, or the instructor can also be like, hey, you should get an agent, and I know an agent. Let me connect you because I've seen you work, and other things like that. So that's good. That's super good. Um, okay, so you said struggle. So what is one of the biggest struggles that you've had as an actor, like up to this point?
Um, so when I decided to go for this and to get in this career, I think the hardest thing is that I just kind of lost some of my community. Not all of my community, but some. And I think a lot of people don't understand this field if they're not in it. And that's reasonable because it is very different. It's a very different field altogether. Um, so I kind of lost having a person that I could talk to about it until I found you and the Sisterhood Suite. So that community was huge for me
Yeah.
because we are like-minded.
Yeah. How did you find the Sisterhood Suite?
Through my daughter once again because she was in the younger Sisterhood Suite. So that was a blessing that she knew you and she had benefited from being in that group and the mentoring there. So yeah.
Yay. And then I opened it up to the like, because that was very limited. It was like an age limit on her group. And then I found ladies like our age or older than your daughter that were like, I also want community. And so it formed, and then I had no idea how many other ladies were wanting the same. So that's cool. I love it. Okay, so other than the suite, or maybe including the suite, what are some tools and some resources that have helped you build your career?
The suite definitely has and then the acting classes and just networking, film festivals, and finding people that are ahead of me in the game. And so that was so helpful to me. I remember Sharon, Mary Beth knew Sharon before I did. And my first audition ever, I didn't know how to slay. There's so many just little technical things I didn't know. And Mary Beth asked Sharon for me because Mary Beth's in the film industry, but in a different section. So she gave her all the information, and then she called Mary Beth back and checked on me to see how my first audition went. But just having that, to me, finding somebody that's ahead of you in the game and that you can trust and that is open and willing to give you information, that's huge. And there are a lot of those people out there. You can find them. So
Yeah. And I was telling a friend this the other day in, I think, our faith film world, we are such like cheerleaders for each other because we all have the same foundation of Jesus, and we all have the same goal of pointing people to Jesus. And so we all want to help each other do great. So I love that. And Sharon, she's amazing. That is why she is one of the ladies I reached out to be a mentor in the original sisterhood, because she's just got a heart of gold. So that doesn't surprise me at all that she called you to check on you. I love it.
yeah.
She's so cool. Okay, so being a Christian in the film industry, is there anything that you do or you don't do because of your faith?
So for me, because you addressed this and told us to address boundaries and to think about it before we get in the situation, what our boundaries are. For me, a hard boundary is I will not use God's name in vain.
Yeah.
Because and not even in the swear way that most people think, but just when people say, oh my,
Yeah.
to me, he's done so much for me, and my relationship with him is personal, that I'm not going to do that, even as a character. I do know that sometimes people play characters that aren't godly, and I understand that, but that's a hard line for me, is using his name in vain.
Yeah.
So and then the obviously the bedroom scenes, I'm not going to do any of that. And my husband and I have talked about just where we're comfortable with different things, and I think that it's good to have those conversations with your spouse and to pray about those things ahead of time, and then just to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit too. because you may think, oh, well, this is a line for me, and then get in a situation and you're pushed because of whatever. It's better to have those lines set up ahead of time. And then also to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit, because there's things that you might think, oh, well, this wouldn't be a problem. And you might get in a situation and feel in your spirit, this isn't right. So I think it's good to have that list ahead of time. And it's also good to be sensitive and just be listening to them all the time.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so you mentioned that God's just done so much for you that you wouldn't use his name in vain. Like, what's your story? How did you become a Christian?
So I was young. I was 6 years old, and when I remember very clearly that I was in a chapel in a Christian school, and my principal was sharing the story of Noah and the ark, and he did the analogy of how the ark was like the cross, and that how the people had to, the salvation was there, but the people had to walk through the door and accept that.
Yeah.
And I just remember at that time, even as a small child with childlike faith, I was like, oh, I'm a sinner and I need Jesus as my savior.
Yeah.
And so that was a very, I was young, but even then I wanted to tell my little friends about Jesus,
Aww.
as soon as I accepted him. As I grew, I remember another incident was at age 14. The Lord really showed me at a retreat that my life was not my own, that I would give an account for my life one day before him. And just the seriousness of that prompted me to be a lot bolder about my faith, and to know that, really our lifetime seems like a long time. I'm 50 something now, so it goes very quickly, but it's not. It's just a breath,
Yeah.
and really the eternal things matter more.
Yeah. Aw, that's so good. I love that. How do you, because I know the film industry is kind of like up and down and your schedule's never the same, and you don't know if you're on a night shoot, a morning shoot, all of that. How do you practically build your relationship and sustain your relationship with Jesus? Like, what does Bible study, church, reading the word, all of that look like for you?
Yeah. So I think the key word is you have to be intentional.
Yeah.
Our days will get very busy, and with traveling, with acting, it gets crazy, and you may be on set, somewhere, or traveling during church time. I'm so thankful that our church has they do live stream.
Yeah.
But when I'm home, I want to be there, and I want to be serving, not just there, soaking it all in, but I want to be serving and helping there as well. But it's kind of silly, but I have a thing I call a master do list, basically.
Yeah.
It's like my perfect day if I were to get everything done in a day that I needed to. Which never happens, by the way. I never get to all of it.
But it's good to have goals.
Yes, I'm shooting for it. But and it's not that spending time with the Lord or spending time in the Word should be a checklist item. So I don't want people to confuse that. But he is top of my list.
Yeah.
Spending time alone with him and spending time in his Word has to be first and forefront.
Yeah.
So
do you wake up, like, do you grab your coffee, go to the living room? Do you have a prayer closet? What does your time look like?
It's different on different days. I'm not a morning person, so I am usually grabbing that coffee.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And then now that my kids are grown, and it was very different when my kids were home, because I have 5. And when they were running all around, it's a different world for those young moms. But now that my kids are grown, I have time alone, so I can sit alone in my living room. Or I do have a prayer closet that I go into. So yeah.
Ooh, do you have it all decked out, like a chair in there or anything closed? What does it look like?
Clothes.
Yeah. But it's just like your private place to go into. Oh, that's good. I need to get me one of those. I need to convert one of my closets into those, I should say.
Yeah. You
Um,
don't have to convert. God doesn't care.
that's true. Well, I just mean make space for myself because I kind of got
Yeah.
it maxed out in there. I can't even fit in there. But yeah, I should do that. Or I guess I could go in my master closet. There's room in there. Um,
Yeah. There was
uh,
in college, we had a discipleship group, and there was a janitor closet. And there were several of us in our, because the dorms were crazy all the time,
oh
all the
yeah.
time. And so my discipleship group, we had found a nice little quiet janitor that we would go in and
Smart.
use sometimes to get away.
Oh, that's smart. Use what you got.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned coffee. What kind of coffee do you drink?
Whatever is available.
Oh, really? So you're not picky?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
Um, I like, yeah, no, just whatever. I don't like sugar. I don't like sweet in my coffee. I like cream, and I can drink it black, but I prefer it with cream.
wow.
Usually almond milk or oat milk.
Yeah, you're a hardcore coffee drinker. That's good. There's no way I could drink it black. Mm-mm. Okay, so what is your favorite book or quote?
Oh,
Or
I
both?
remember, yes. So there is um, it's a quote that's the man in the arena. So if you look it up, it's longer. And you hear people quote it from time to time. But basically, my dad had it on his desk. So I saw it when I was little and didn't think a whole lot about it. And I lost my dad at an early age. So I don't know, there's something about this particular quote that I feel like connects me with him. But
Yeah,
basically, it is saying don't be timid, don't be a timid soul, and never try. It's like the prize goes to the one who tries and fails. And I feel like in acting that's such a good word for us, because it's not about being perfect, it's about growth.
hmm,
And no one's an expert in the beginning, and we will never get to a place where we are like maxed out the best, because that's just perfection is not achievable. Excellence is, we should strive for excellence, I think, but perfection's not
yeah,
achievable.
yeah,
But the thing that quote, and it's long, so I can't quote it all right now, but
yeah,
please look it up. But it talks about them daring greatly, and that is speaks to my soul, because um, I think that we can be timid, we can have things that are out of our comfort zone, and just through the years, I think the Lord's given me a boldness to go for it
good.
and not to worry about people's opinions.
Hmm. Good.
That's what I think is the stumbling block for most people,
Yes.
um, is worrying about, well, what if I mean, like, what if I get on an interview with Venus and I stumble?
Then we
It's
edit
okay. It's
or we
okay.
leave it. Yeah,
We're human,
exactly.
and that that's what the Lord's taught me through the years, and I'm still learning. I learn every day.
Yeah. So I pulled up the quote for anyone who's like watching this or listening to this in the car. I'm going to just read it.
Yes.
So it's the Theodore Roosevelt quote about striving valiantly and daring greatly. The quote is, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there's no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat." Hmm, that's
It's
good.
good, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That is
It's
good.
similar to the parable about burying your talent. because you're afraid.
Right.
I think that it mirrors that sentiment. So
Yeah, I would
that we don't
agree.
need to bury our talent and or whatever we have in our hand. Um, we need to use what God gives us.
Right. And Satan would love nothing more than for us to bury that talent and not put our light on a pedestal for all to see and to point people to Jesus. So you're totally right. It all relates. Do you have a favorite book?
Did I write a favorite book?
No, but if you have one, if you
Oh,
don't have one, that's okay.
well, no, I've got tons of them. But let me tell you this, since you asked.
Yeah.
I'm reading one now, and I'm only in the second chapter, so I can only give a review up to the second chapter. But it's called Mindset. Have you
Hmm.
heard of it before?
I have. I haven't read it though.
Okay, I'm listening. I say I'm reading it. I listen to audio, especially when I'm driving a lot.
Smart.
Um, but it is really good. And it actually talks about having a fixed mindset where you're trying to be perfect. And, if you can't do something, you just shut down and, walk away. Um, and then it talks about a growth mindset
Mhm.
where you look at things that are challenging and instead of seeing the possibility of failure there, you see the possibility of growth. And
Yeah.
so it's good. It's a
Yeah.
good book. At least, like I said, I've only seen it. I've only been in it so long, but it's
Yeah.
good.
It's kind of in the same vein of Rich Dad Poor Dad, where your mindset is everything, and it's not like, oh, I can't afford that, but reframing your brain and thinking, how can I afford that? So it is that fixed versus growth, like so
Mm-hmm.
good. And for entrepreneurs, like it's really, really huge to have that kind of mindset. Otherwise, you just ain't gonna get very far.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so final question, Lori, is for an actor who is wanting to get into the film world, wanting to take classes, or they just feel this desire to start acting in some capacity. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah. My biggest advice is if you feel like that you're being called to, or you're just interested in it, get on set, be on set somewhere, either as an extra or helping out. You can even do food. Like if you're like, oh, I'm scared to be on set at all. They need people to feed.
Yeah.
So, and it's called crafty in the world of film. So
Mhm.
get on set and just observe and talk with people. Find someone who is in the industry and ask them questions. Someone who is open-handed and wants to share their information with you, and that would be my advice. And because people do once they're on set, so I found that people either love it or they do not love
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
So I think you will know pretty quickly after you've been on set a few times whether it's for you. And people either get the bug and they're like, "Woo," and they want to go back, or they're like, "No, that was too much sitting around and waiting for me." So,
Yes. That is such good advice. So how have you been able to get on set? Like what practical steps did you take to finally find a set?
mm-hmm. So at first I started out being an extra in student films too,
How did you
because
find? Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
my daughter was in film, and so she was kind of my link there for student films. As far as extra, the biggest city somewhat close to me was Nashville, and so I got on a list and where they were sending out things to be extras in that city.
Okay,
Um,
like an email list.
mhm, mhm.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Love it. Okay. Any final pieces, tips, thoughts, quotes that you would like to share? You feel good?
yeah, I felt great.
Good, good. I think that was a lot of
No,
useful info. Okay.
I I just encourage anybody to be yourself, and because there's only one you, and God made you uniquely for a reason, and that's gonna resonate with someone. You might not be everybody's cup of tea, every director's cup of tea, um, but God can use you, and He'll put you in the places that He wants you to be in. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, for sure. And where can people find you, follow you online?
Yeah, so they can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. I actually have a TikTok.
Whoa, look at
Right.
you.
I know. I put my cat on TikTok, or I did recently.
And
Um,
what's are you Lori Stanfield on all of those?
mhm.
Okay.
Instagram, I'm at Stanfield 777, and Facebook, Lori Langford Stanfield.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, and IMDb, I'm the only Lori Stanfield on IMDb, which is really cool.
Yay. Yeah, that's great.
It's yeah, like there's usually like a ton of names. I mean, my name's fairly common.
Yeah,
So, but
that's great.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
It's all yours. You don't have to fight for it.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, Lori. So good chatting
Thank
with you.
you.